Alright, people, we are in for a little bit of a weird SmarkCast, because Royal Rumble wasn't that great, and Raw was basically non-existent. But there are a few things that I want to rant on. It's really hot in my house, so it's just a small group of fans that I want to address. I know I'm going to lose some viewers on this, but at this point I feel I need to say it because this is therapy for me. That's just what it is. So, alright, Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble match itself was possibly the worst Royal Rumble match in the history of Royal Rumble. I'll admit that. Reigns winning was universally hated. Me, I went either way. I didn't care if he won it. I don't have anything against Reigns. I'm not a fan, but I have absolutely nothing against him, and I don't think he sucks like everyone else does. I think that he is new and needs some work. I don't think he's ready for the WrestleMania main event, but I'm going to wait to see how this pans out. He is being pushed to the moon right now, and a lot of people don't like that. But after the Royal Rumble, there were reports of people blocking the superstars from leaving the parking lot. This has since been kind of debunked, where it was actually just a small group, like one or two people. And then there were many people sending Roman Reigns death threats. Now this is the really small group of people that I wanted to address, because these people are jackasses. Sending a wrestler death threats because he won a match is the equivalent of sending a register worker at Target a death threat because he was told he couldn't refund you on something. It's not Roman Reigns' choice, just like it's not the Target register worker's choice. Roman Reigns is doing his freaking job. He is simply following the script and doing what they tell him to do. That's all there is to it. But people want to make it personal. And if I came into WWE tomorrow and they said on Thursday you're going to beat Daniel Bryan and we're going to put you in the WrestleMania main event just because of the way you look, I'm not going to turn that down. That's like getting a major promotion. That's getting the main event at WrestleMania. Who would turn that down? And everyone is just sending Roman Reigns death threats, and those are the kind of people who give us wrestling fans, the people who are passionate about the product, they give us bad names. I mean, you go to a casual person that doesn't watch wrestling and they say, what are you into? And you say pro wrestling. Probably 5 times out of 10, they're going to say, oh, that fake baby crap. I can't believe you still watch that. And they're going to make fun of you. And it's because of people like that. It's because of people who send death threats. We're known as a bunch of backwoods, unintelligent hicks because we watch pro wrestling, and people act like that. They get drunk and they act stupid. But in the end, I know a ton of wrestling fans that are some of the most intelligent people I know. And we're not those people. Those people are a very small group. And that's not even the people I really want to address in this SmarkCast. Because those people are just jackasses and just need to go the hell away. Death threats? Come on, man. Anyway, yes, okay, so the Rumble. The Rumble itself was pretty bad. And this was one of the biggest problems I had with the night, was everyone, 90% of the people who watched that pay-per-view were so focused on how bad the Royal Rumble was and that Roman Reigns won that they completely glanced over the fact that minutes before the Rumble, we had what was possibly the greatest triple threat match in WWE history. It may have even rivaled... You name one. Actually, I'm just going to change that whole thing. You name one, it rivaled it. Maybe it wasn't as good as the WrestleMania main events, you know, like with Benoit and stuff. But in the modern era, that was one of the best triple threats I've ever seen. It was almost perfection. 4.5 to 5 stars, easy. And that's what I focused on the whole time. The Rumble sucked. And even after the Rumble's over, well, it sucks that Roman won, but at least that match was good, you know? And I'm like, yeah, it was a shit pay-per-view because it only had one good match, but still, that one good match, to me, was worth $9.99 alone. And I think NXT is worth $9.99 alone, so I got my money's worth. And, I mean, I would rather pay $9.99 for a shit pay-per-view than pay $60 for a shit pay-per-view. So, I loved that triple threat match. I thought it was perfection. I thought, like, there was no botches. I thought Rollins stole the show. Lesnar did great, and even Cena put on a show. Cena with his comebacks and excellent moves and reverses. Lesnar was powerhouse. I mean, yeah, mostly all he did was German suplexes, but it was still freaking awesome. And Rollins' high-flying technical stuff, I mean, it was awesome. Lesnar winning was awesome because everyone said, no, Cena's going to win and Rollins is going to cash in. And I told you all that was too obvious. I was like, there ain't no way they're doing that. That's far too obvious, especially if they're going to have Roman Reigns win it. Like, we're going to have two really obvious things happen? No. That's why I said Lesnar was going to win and no one was going to cash in. But, you know, and Rollins winning. I said Daniel Bryan was going to win because I want Daniel Bryan to win. But, you know, it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it's a scripted show. I mean, it's fake. You can't. I mean, you can get passionate about it. That's great. But man, just the pure hatred I saw out of people, and that'll bring me to the next thing. And this one's probably going to be a really long rant, but it comes to the fans that I really wanted to address here. The fans that can just suck it. The fans that I see on Twitter, which, you know, I'm going to go ahead and call them fans, that I see on Twitter on Monday night, nothing but negativity, nothing but complaining, nothing but bitching, nothing but moaning. Next week on Raw, nothing but complaining, nothing but bitching, nothing but moaning. The next Monday on Raw, nothing but complaining, nothing but bitching, nothing but moaning. Those are the people I want to talk to. Because there's something you can do. And it's really easy. What you do is you pick up your remote and you change the channel. One movement with your thumb. That speaks volumes, people. Stop watching. If you're that upset and that negative about a show, stop watching. I hated Dexter after Season 4, after the Trinity Killer, and then Season 5 started. I was midway through Season 5 and I was like, this sucks. And I turned it off. I stopped watching. I didn't bitch and moan on Twitter. I just stopped watching. Heroes, after Season 2, started to suck. I didn't complain. I just turned it off because that's going to speak volumes, man. That's going to speak well more than just complaining online. Which is why WWE brought out that shirt, if Cena wins, we complain online. Because basically that's them flipping you off and saying you aren't going to change anything by complaining. Because you're not. It's going to take a movement. Now, this brings me to another group of fans that I applaud. I respect. It's the people who started the hashtag cancel the WWE Network. These people deserve a round of applause because these people stood up for what they believed in. Stood up and said, I'm not going to do this anymore, and they canceled the network. 270,000 people canceled the network. Those people are causing a movement. And I bet you some of those people were the people that do nothing but complain. And finally they're doing something about it. They're canceling the network. That's going to speak to WWE more than anything. And those people deserve get my respect. Am I going to cancel my WWE Network? No, because I think that NXT is worth $9.99 alone, and I've changed the way I watch WWE. I focus on the positive instead of complaining about the negative. I was one of those fans. I was one of those fans that used to do nothing but complain. I was one of those people that I grew to hate because whenever Rollins would do something cool, I was like, oh wait, now that was kind of cool. And I would say so. But still online, I would still see complaining. And I'm like, how can you complain after seeing something like that? So I grew to hate those people. And I just decided that I have a lot more fun when I'm positive about it. But I do have two things that I'm going to try to get these people to do. Number one, first and foremost, if you're really that upset with the product right now, quit watching. Bottom line, stop watching the show, stop watching Raw, stop watching SmackDown, stop watching everything. If you're going to do nothing but complain, stop. I mean, I've told people this, and they give me the argument, there's no other wrestling on. Yeah, there is. TNA, which arguably worse than WWE, but whatever. Ring of Honor, NJPW, or the show right now that I think is starting to take over, that is becoming one of the greatest things in wrestling today, Lucha Underground. Give it a shot, people. It's really, 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 really good. People were saying, oh, WWE, wrestling's dying. Wrestling's not dying. WWE is bad. Wrestling is flourishing. PWG, Ring of Honor, NJPW, Lucha Underground, Chikara, Dragon Gate. Like, I can go on. AIW, Shimmer. All of those things are becoming more popular. PWG especially. They're really catching on. NJPW is about to start taking over. That's great. It's just WWE that sucks. And they do suck. But they got some positives in there. Number two, second idea I have, is called silence. Alright? Words hurt. Silence kills. So, here's what I propose. You're tired of seeing Cena in the main event. You're tired of seeing Cena, period. Just using Cena as an example. Then, whenever he's on the TV, go Twitter silent. If you're in the arena, don't say John Cena sucks. You're playing into their hand. Because they know that you're going to pay money to see John Cena lose. So, don't play into it. Don't scream John Cena sucks. Don't sing John Cena sucks. Just be quiet. I don't mean, I'm not saying to do what that one dude suggested a while back, which is turn your back to him. That's stupid. No, just be quiet. Don't say anything. On Twitter silence, man. But then, when Ambrose, Rollins, Bryan, I don't care if your favorite is freaking Zack Ryder, start saying positive things. Say, this is the guy I want to see. This is what I want right now. I want to see Bryan. I want to see Rollins. I want to see Ambrose. This is cool. I like this. And then in the very next segment, when it's Roman Reigns, be quiet. Don't say a word. Silence speaks volumes, people. And, you know, and I'll admit right now, as I'm speaking to you, that that's what's going on with Bryan right now, and it's not working. He is probably the most over superstar, and he's still not really getting a push. And personally, even though I want that so bad, I really want him to be up there, there's got to be something to that. I don't know what it is, but there has to be a reason they're not giving him a push. I can't figure it out, and I can't figure out Ziggler either. Ziggler, I think it's because he's kind of mouthy, and he has a tendency to say things that get him in trouble, and they're afraid that if they give him the ball, he's going to say something stupid. With Bryan, I think he may be injury prone. I don't know. I'm not trying to stick up for him. He should be in the main event, and that's the bottom line. But he's not. And it's just not work. His thing didn't work. People were positive. People want to see him. It just didn't work. So what? It's one of those things you just got to get over, because Mr. Perfect was never in the main event either, man. Jake the Snake Roberts was never in the main event. I mean, they were both never champions, but they're legends. Ricky Steamboat. I can go on and on about all the people that should have been a champion or in the main event and never were. Roddy Piper was in the main event, but he was never champion. So some of the greats go down as never winning. And that's okay. But either way, just those fans, the ones that just do nothing but complain and don't do anything to change it, just complain, and don't even give it a chance, don't let things play out, just automatically dog everything that happens, can suck it. Period. I'm not saying that their opinion is wrong, because there's no such thing as a wrong opinion. I'm just saying I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of seeing all the negativity. I'm negative sometimes, but I'm not negative that much. I mean, if you notice, look at me, people who read my Twitter, if you notice, I haven't really said anything negative about the Bella Twins in a while. That's saying something. Because I try to be positive. But whatever. Moving on. Away from that, away from the people who are probably sending me death threats right now. Raw. I actually really liked Raw. And I truly believe that they really need to start doing that format. After every pay-per-view, have a format like that. Have almost like a recap. But not what they did exactly last night, because last night they showed the Triple Threat match and the Royal Rumble in their entirety, which I think showing the Royal Rumble was not very smart. Although kudos to WWE for not editing it in any way, not taking out the bullshit chants, not taking out all the boos. Kudos. But having a recap show that kind of shows you what happened and gives you video clips instead of the still clips that they do, and then having a bunch of interviews, because I think those interviews were the highlight of the night last night. It was awesome. They interviewed Daniel Bryan, Rollins, Reigns, Lesnar, and then Ambrose had a little skit, and every single one of them was awesome. Rollins up there saying, "Oh, Lesnar's going to be out here? Well, he's gonna have to take my spot, you know. He's gonna have to take my spot." And then Lesnar comes out there. I think Rollins looked like a punk a little bit. You know, he kind of looked like a punk because he got right up when Lesnar got up, and then he just pushed the chair down, and it was like ooh. But you know, you gotta give him a little something, and Lesnar's interview was great, and Bryan's interview was a little weird because it felt like he wanted to say more, but he didn't. They were all shoot-style interviews, too. That was cool. But what I thought the highlight of the night, the best part was Paul Heyman interviewing Roman Reigns and the history he told. And the best part was something that I was really hoping they were going to touch on, which was so cool, was that The Rock and Lesnar only had one match, and Lesnar destroyed The Rock. And I was really hoping that they would play into that. And not only did they play into it, they played into it in a marvelous way, saying that not only did The Rock lose to Lesnar, but they didn't have a rematch because The Rock never asked for one, because one match was enough. That was awesome. And that puts Reigns over in a huge way when he wins. And it was just the whole thing. And then finally, Lesnar and Reigns stood up and did a face-to-face, just nose-to-nose. And it was actually really cool. I actually really liked that segment. And it got me kind of excited for that main event. I'm not going to lie. I actually want to see that now. With the best line actually kind of went to Roman Reigns, because they stood up and Lesnar said, "Unlike him, I don't respect you." And without missing a beat, Reigns said, "You will." Pretty cool. And all of that, which I thought Raw was great. And Ambrose's segment was hilarious, talking about coming in there and he wanted to be on the show and walking like 60 miles in the blizzard and all that. That was cool. Or he hitched a ride. He stuck out his thumb and sat in a bale of hay in the back of a truck. That was funny. But that did bring up the Reigns interview. Brought up a big thing that I wanted to touch on, which was kind of angered me last night, and I kind of went off on it. Didn't mean to, but I did. Was there was a group of people that after the interview were saying, "Oh my God, this is so bad. Reigns is so bad. He's getting fed lines, and you can hear it." And granted, you could hear it. You could hear them telling him what to say next. And they're like, "Oh, this is so bad. Reigns is so terrible." And it's like, how is that Reigns' fault? I mean, these people are the same people who were like, "Ooh, The Rock is the best on the mic." Well, guess what? The Rock never wrote anything. He did his ad-libs, but all of his catchphrases were written by someone else, and The Rock freely admits it. Your hero didn't write his stuff. And what about the time when The Rock had his lines written on his hand? I mean, you didn't make fun of him for that, but Reigns does it. It's like, oh my gosh, he's terrible. So it just brings out the hypocrisy in people. This whole thing has brought out so much hypocrisy. But it's just people will find anything to nitpick right now. Oh yeah, we're going to find anything. Oh, Reigns tripped over the ropes. Man, he's clumsy. He can't be in there. He sucks. Even though The Rock has had plenty of clumsy moments. Stone Cold has had plenty of clumsy moments. Remember when he was on the rolly chair, the office chair, and he rolled down the aisle and it went backwards and he fell? Yeah, that was an accident, and it became one of the greatest moments. But because it's Austin, it doesn't count as a mess up. So people are just completely hypocritical about Reigns right now. And, I mean, they're all, oh, he shouldn't be in the main event because he's terrible on the mic. And there was a man that was in the main event that's a multi-time champion who was even worse on the mic, and his name is Bret Hart. He can't be in there because he's a terrible wrestler. Well, your hero Hulk Hogan was freaking horrible. So, you know, give the guy a break. Let him evolve. This angers me. But yeah, and I mean, speaking of the hypocrisy, I mean, there's a lot of hypocrisy in here right now. The people who were cheering Reigns to win the Royal Rumble last year because he's the future, are booing him this year. That makes no sense. And then all these people were just like, oh, we want something new. Well, they gave you something new. Reigns has never won the Royal Rumble. Reigns has never been in the main event at WrestleMania. Reigns has never wrestled for the title. And Reigns has never wrestled Brock Lesnar. All four of those things are happening. Those are all new. And I'm sitting here like, so you're saying that you would accept John Cena versus Randy Orton in the main event at WrestleMania over this match, which is a brand new match. And granted, Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan would be a brand new match. But Daniel Bryan main evented WrestleMania last year, and people were crying that they do the same thing over and over. That would be do the same thing over and over. So you can't have it both ways. And what I've discovered is that some of these people are not, it's not that they want something new, it's they want what they want, and they want nothing else. Now, on the flip side of that argument, because that is how I feel, but I always look at it from both sides, because I don't know why, I've just always done that. I know it's kind of weird. On the flip side of that argument, the WWE really needs to start listening to people. Listening to who we cheer for, listening to who we boo, and giving the people what they want. This is why Ring of Honor, NJPW, PWG are all very popular right now, is because these are the three companies that really, really, really listen to their fans. They really give the fans what they want. So there are two sides to every argument, and this whole thing is a double-edged sword. And to put double-edge in perspective, the WWE is very, very hypocritical right now. They don't want to give Daniel Bryan that shot because he's injury prone, yet Triple H had 4 or 5 title reigns after he blew out his quad. That says to me hypocrisy. I mean, WWE has plenty of hypocrisy in itself. And I'm thinking maybe that bleeds over into the fans. Who knows? We want what we want, and we will accept nothing else. That's a problem. WWE wants what they want, and they won't give us anything else. That's a problem. There needs to be a fair compromise somewhere in the middle. No, no. Maybe one day we'll get it. Probably not, but maybe one day. Actually, we might. If Vince steps down and Triple H takes over, we might actually get that one of these days, because Triple H seems to know what the crowd wants. He seems to have his finger on the pulse, you know? Because I can tell you now that Triple H had nothing to do with Reigns winning that. Triple H would always go with what would be the better match. And for my final argument of just let it play out, how do you know that Brock Lesnar is supposed to be at Fastlane? How do you know that Rollins isn't going to cash in on Lesnar and we're getting a Rollins-Reigns main event at WrestleMania? How do you know that that same scenario happens and somehow, some way, some magical thing happens where Ambrose becomes a #1 contender and we have a triple threat Shield at WrestleMania? How do you know it's not going to happen? And if that does happen, people are just going to jizz their pants. And they're going to be like, oh, it's the greatest WrestleMania, even though weeks earlier, they're saying it's the worst WrestleMania of all time. How do you know that Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler aren't going to get a match at WrestleMania? How do you know Rollins and Daniel Bryan aren't going to get a match at WrestleMania? People are going to love that. I mean, there is tons of scenarios that can go here. I mean, I would love, after Bray Wyatt's performance in the Royal Rumble, I would love to see Bray Wyatt versus Undertaker. Ziggler and Daniel Bryan have been going back and forth on Twitter saying that they want to steal the show. Make that happen. I would love to see that. If you're not going to put Daniel Bryan in the main event, give me that. I would be perfectly okay. Ambrose can do literally anything, and I don't care. He could get in there with Zack Ryder, and I'd be fine with it. So, what do I want to see out of him? Personally, I want to see him beat Rusev. I want to see Ambrose be the one to beat Rusev. I'm still saying Ryback's going to do it, but I'm starting to think I'm wrong on that, especially since they're setting up Cena and Rusev, which that scares the crap out of me. I don't. The match may be good, but I don't want to see Cena beat Rusev. But Ambrose, I don't even care, man. You put him in there with anybody, and I'll enjoy it. Put him in there with Luke Harper. I don't care. I would love to see him in anything. Personally, I would love to see him win a title at WrestleMania, but maybe the Intercontinental title. And like I said, Rusev. So, Ziggler, I would love to see Ziggler versus Daniel Bryan. I would love to see that. Because if they give them like an Iron Man match, or give them 20 to 30 minutes, they're going to steal the show. And then Vince McMahon will be eating his words. By the way, that little thing where I said Ambrose, Ziggler, Bray, Daniel Bryan, that's from my buddy Markel. Yeah, he asked me that like 10 minutes ago. Twitter, @TinnerBuds. You can follow him. He's a singer, he's really good. He's got his own YouTube channel too. But anyway, I'm done with all my rants, and I'm not going to apologize to the people I pissed off, because I know I pissed off some people. Once again, silence speaks words. Quit watching my show. That's all there is to it. And I know my language was a little colorful this time, but I was a little passionate on this one. And plus, I'm on the Wrestling Heads right now, dude. Have you ever listened to their radio show? They're very passionate. Very colorful language. You should listen to them. They're fantastic. I'm on there every now and then. So, either way, if this was the last time you're going to watch SmarkCast, thank you for tuning in all those times, and goodbye. If you're going to continue watching, awesome. Or maybe you're just one of those people who can listen to a person you disagree with. But if those first people watching this, first time you're watching SmarkCast, this is not how the SmarkCast usually goes. I usually don't rant on the fans. I usually rant on WWE and NJPW and Ring of Honor. But this time, I had to say that. I mean, I respect the crap out of those people who are actually doing something like canceling the network, but those people who do absolutely nothing but complain, suck it. And then those people who block traffic and send death threats can just go away. Period. Please stop being wrestling fans and giving us people a bad name. Anyway, if you have questions, want to send me some death threats, want to disagree with me, say that I'm wrong, I'm fine with that. At SmarkCast on Twitter or smartcast@gmail.com. Thank you for watching once again.